This is what I looked like 9 years ago before going to the gym and training my upper body. Most importantly, I wasn't able to do one push-up, which was my absolute goal. And this is what I look like now. So let's go over my favorite exercises and my top tips to build a defined or shredded and strong upper body. Yesterday's leg day made me sick. And I'm not being over dramatic. I mean, I had actual flu-like symptoms the entire day, and that can happen when you train too hard with too high of an intensity, and it's just something that your body isn't used to, or if you maybe, have taken a break for a bit, or you are a beginner in the gym and you haven't trained at all, then that is something that you have to be kind of mindful of, that you slowly introduce training and you don't go 0 to 100%. I sometimes have that usually when I do leg days again and I'm like super enthusiastic and I go all out and I do the Bulgarians and I push my weights and I push myself, and then there's just too much acids that get released and it's just too much to handle. So it's not an actual sickness, it's just that I really had to take it easy. So I slept for like 12 hours. I went to bed extremely early and now I just feel a little bit of soreness, which is fine. So today we are doing an upper body session. I'm not doing anything leg related. I'm just taking it easy. But honestly, upper body sessions are my favorite anyways. So let's go to the gym. Basically, every upper body workout that I do, I focus on warming up my shoulders specifically, because your shoulders can move in a lot of different directions, which also means that there's a lot of opportunity for injury to steep in if we don't warm up properly. So we're going to start with shoulder rotations and we're going to perform them exceptionally slow and intentional. So what I want you to do is reach as far as you possibly can. So you're standing, feet are shoulder width apart. You are reaching in front of you and really make sure that you go as far forward as you can. And then you do a slow rotation. So my arm is coming up all the way to the ceiling. Here is where I have to rotate my hand. And then we're going all the way back as far as your shoulder joint allows. And really try to go to the end of your range of motion. The first exercise that I'm doing is for the back. I'm doing a lat pull down. I love doing lat pull downs. I have been prioritizing pull-ups a little bit more lately just because I want to bring up my pull-up strength, and repeated exposure means skill building, which is why I have done them frequently. But for hypertrophy, I actually prefer the lat pull down. So for muscle building, it's a lot more stable. It is just isolating your lats and your traps or your back a bit more compared to pull-ups, in my opinion. So one of the key things that I pay attention to when I do a lat pull down is that I really look for that stretch at the top. So like I fully want to stretch my lats as far as I can, and then I squeeze them in order to pull the bar down, or in this case, pull the handles down, because I want to do like a closer grip variation. It is a vertical pull, and as you know, I'm quite a big fan of like going between vertical pulls and then vertical pushes, horizontal rows and then horizontal pushes, just because it helps me with making sure that my back gets enough rest to optimize for the rows that I'm doing after this vertical pull down, instead of doing all my back exercises back to back and then doing all my shoulder exercises back to back. So we're doing this 3 sets and I'm aiming for 8 to 10 reps. I'm doing a shoulder press, dumbbell shoulder press. So I have the bench at a slight incline, and what I make sure is that I have my elbows slightly inwards, so not all the way flared outside. I also make sure that my joints stay stacked, so I move in a vertical plane, like so, and I don't fully lock out at the top. I will never lock out my elbow joint, just because, especially when you're lifting very heavy weights, it increases the risk of getting injuries, which we don't want. So I make sure that I stop right about here, and then I control the weight down again. If you have a machine press, that's also a really good variation. I've been doing the machine press when I was in the other gym in Spain, and I love it if you find a good machine press. I prefer it even over a dumbbell, because there are so many small stabilizing muscles and tendons that come into play whenever you're doing a dumbbell press. It can be a bit risky, I would say, in terms of overloading. So when you have a machine press, you don't really have to work on stabilization a lot. You can just press for as hard as you can. So that's a really good variation, which I don't have here. So I'm doing a dumbbell shoulder press instead. If you do this correctly, you'll mainly feel this in your front delts, which is why I'm doing a lateral raise after, because I also want to make sure that I target my side delts, because that will really help with getting that 3D look. And I feel like my shoulders have been looking a little bit flat lately, so I want to pay some extra attention to them. And then obviously we also have our rear delts, which I'll tackle as well. So usually I don't necessarily do everything every single session, because you don't need that much volume for your shoulders. But if I can, I do like to get a bit of isolation in, just because I really like the look of having developed shoulders. I'm pretty straight, built like a ruler. So for me, building my shoulders helps a lot with creating that hourglass shape. Next up are the neutral grip cable rows. I actually prefer doing these with a V grip instead of these single handles, but I don't have a V grip here, so I'm just using whatever I have. But the trick with this exercise for me is to make sure that I kind of lean forward on the eccentrics, on the negative part of the rep where your lats are lengthening, to get that extra stretch, that extra range of motion in. And then I make sure that I pull towards my belly button, towards my lower abs, and have a good squeeze at the top of the movement. Such a good exercise, such a staple usually in my routine. My approach to hitting side delts is very much fatigue them as much as I can through the entire range of motion. So I'll start off with doing perfect reps, full range of motion, and then when I no longer can hit those, I'll do partial reps. And then I just basically do partial reps until I can actually not lift my arms up anymore, and then I'm done with the set, and I'm doing 2 sets. And then afterwards I'm doing tricep push downs just to get a bit of isolation in for my arms. This workout is longer than what is programmed actually in my app, but I just wanted to add some isolation work in just because I can and I have a bit more time today. And then I am doing some cable crossovers for my rear delts. I might throw in an exercise for biceps just because I'm now at it, but we'll see. I quickly made some post-workout food. So I have some chicken, cucumber, half of an avocado, and some sushi rice. The sushi rice I always season with rice vinegar, and the chicken is from the oven, the air fryer actually.